and welcome to the fishing series. Today's discussion will be on a bunch of different kinds of fish that can be found out in the ocean. This is basically a more in-depth analysis and discussion on the different kinds of fish that are in the ocean than what I covered in the previous video. Come on, let's go check it out. So one of the first fish that we'll talk about is different types of fish that can be categorized as a billfish. This is essentially a group of fish that can be identified by their signature bill, which most people would recognize as, or call their sword. This fish, such as the swordfish, or the marlin, and the sailfish. Well, the marlin and the swordfish are pretty similar in the way they look, save for like a few differences, like their the shape of their sail or their back fin. The sailfish is particularly different in the fin department compared to the other two. You will immediately know when you see a sailfish because of its absolutely massive back fin or its sail, which is where it gets its name, it's sailfish. The other thing that makes a sailfish pretty unique is its speed. While the other two are pretty fast, this guy is one of the fastest animals in the ocean, period. It's really fast. It's kind of like a cheetah, but in the water. Another type of fish that we can discuss, that we are going to be discussing, are sharks, which have gotten a pretty bad reputation for them for a while, and I'd say unfairly so. Sharks, while sure being a bit scary looking, also are one of the sea's most misunderstood animals. Great whites in particular get a bad rep because of a certain film released in 1975. But most sharks are feared due to the amount of attacks that actually do occur every year around the world. The thing is that most of these attacks don't happen because the sharks are evil or they're out to get us and have developed a taste for human flesh or anything like that. That's just not true. The fact of the matter is that most of the attacks occur because of human error, which can mean people aggravating the shark in some way or people feeding sharks, which may not sound that bad. But the thing is, when you feed an animal like a shark any type of food, it sort of develops a sort of dependency, so to speak, on people, and when you are absent, when that food source leaves, it sort of will go seeking other humans, other people, for that food source, and then the shark thinks they have food, which they're going to assume they do because it's going to assume people, or it's going to associate people with a food source. It can get aggressive if they don't have food, or it'll just go for them, thinking that that's the food. The shark can just turn aggressive like that. Another reason for attacks is that some bodysuits that swimmers wear resemble the color of a seal, or they resemble the shape of the seal. When they're wearing those bodysuits, they can kind of look like seals. And if a shark sees a free seal, they're gonna eat that. They're gonna take that opportunity and they're gonna eat that seal. And this leads to the final point of this section. Sharks are opportunistic hunters, which essentially means that if they see food, they eat the food. They don't skimp on an opportunity to just, for free food, they get the food. They don't have dinner times or a certain time of day they won't eat. They take what they can get, and if a shark is hungry and you are in its line of sight, chances are that you are dinner now. Which is why it's important to monitor these animals, not overhunt them or do anything like that. So they're very, very, very important to keeping the ecosystem in balance. Climate change also means that these animals are starting to move around more and more and find new hunting grounds, which also means that some are coming closer to shore, so it's even more important now to track them. That was a bit of a tangent that I went on right now, but I just felt that I couldn't really talk in any of these videos about sharks without mentioning the stigma around them and everything that's happening around them. And I felt that this was the best time to do so, and I also felt that I couldn't really dedicate enough time to it in its own video. So I just decided to talk about it now. So with that out of the way, let's go on to the next kind of fish that we'll be talking about, which happens to be the sunfish. Now, I picked the sunfish simply because I happen to find them super interesting, and also because I don't really think a ton of people know about this big guy. Sunfish is essentially just a bony fish that does nothing but float around all day, pretty much, and just eat food. And then also sometimes bask in the sun. And I say float deliberately because these things do not swim. No, they just float around on the current. They are able to move their back fins around just a little bit, but it's not to propel them around or swim. It's to steer them with the current. That's it. That's literally it. They can also be found lying down flat on top of the water on their sides, just basking in the sun, just hanging out. And most people, when they see that, think that the fish is just dead. But no, he's just basking in the sun. One last kind of fish that I will cover here is the Manta Ray. It's one of my personal favorite fish in the sea. These massive fish are part of the ray family, and this basically means that they're like flat fish that more resemble, that have these really big fins that more resemble wings of a bird than actual fins. The thing about these rays, though, is that they like the skate, they do not have venomous barbs. So this also means that they're completely harmless to humans. And other than their size, one distinguishing factor of these fish is that their fins that protrude out of their mouth. It's like these little prongs that kind of like go inwards out of their mouth. The thing I love so much about these animals is that despite their massive size, like I said earlier, they're completely harmless, and they're actually pretty curious animals that will swim around divers when they see them. They really want to just check them out. They're curious creatures. Unfortunately, though, they are endangered, or in the endangered area. As overhunting has reduced the numbers, and they don't really repopulate that much. They don't reproduce all that often, so their numbers have been steadily decreasing, but obviously people are trying to help with that. But without any outside disruptions or anything like that, any hunting, they can live up to like 50 years. They live a long time. Anyway, well, that concludes this video. Tune in next time when we talk about the different ways of making reeling in fish easier on yourself, and the different types of ways that people actually reel in the different types of methods of fishing. See you.